name is Hilary Janysek, and I'm a member of the Flute New Music Consortium, and I'm so happy to be here today with our composer, Egbert Louwerse, who is the winner of the Flute in Electronics category of our composition competition in 2020. So thank you so much for being here today. And I would first like to ask you to share a little bit about yourself and your background and what you're up to these days.
Oh, good question. So, yeah, I'm a flute player. I studied flute at the Conservatoire in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands. It's a really great place to study. And actually, during my study, I already started to get interested in contemporary music. So I was one of the very few people that were doing other stuff, right? So, as nowadays I'm a conservatoire professor in flute myself, so I know in conservatoires how it is. Conservatoire is very often very conservative, right? So
Right.
we tend to pay attention to the really classical music, which is great, of course, but sometimes we forget contemporary music. And as a student, I was quite interested in that already. Was one of those very few who tried to hook up my flute with computers and MIDI and all kinds of stuff, and already composing my own pieces. So as a student, I was already busy with composing and looking for new stuff. Besides doing all the regular, Poulenc sonata and all the stuff. So during my career, I've been interested in all kinds of music. So for me, it happens that for one period, I'm really into Baroque ornamentation, and then a few months later, I'm really into these contemporary techniques. Or the last few years, I've been doing a lot of research in French repertoire, certain phrasing aspects of French repertoire. It's a little bit more scientific almost, but yeah, I try to do a lot of different angles in music and flute.
Definitely, I can definitely hear that in your piece. That I was so excited to hear, and so interesting to listen to. So, can you tell us a little bit about your inspiration behind 50 Fish?
Yeah, that's actually quite a funny story, because my good friend Ivo Visser, so he's been a very close friend and colleague, also flute player. I know him from my own studies, so now more than 25 years. So he was about to celebrate his 50th birthday. So and his last name is Visser. So in Dutch, that is fisherman. So
Okay.
I always call him Vis, which means fish. So I wanted to, as a birthday present, to write him a piece. And so I wanted to do something with fish. And since I every now and then also compose with electronics, I search the internet for in several sound banks for a lot of nice sounds, under sea and fish sounds, and then while doing a little bit research in that direction, I came across the very beautiful sounds of the whales. Wow, and then I got really intrigued by this fantastic sounds, which are really high and also really low. And then I started to try how to copy those sounds and to transfer it to the flute. So I was trying to and writing it down, and so and I ended up with this piece. And actually, while I was completing the score, I coincidentally came across your website, which I didn't know. One of my quests on the internet to look all kinds of information about flute. And I thought, oh, okay, consortium is asking for new pieces. Why not send me my
Yes.
piece? So yeah, this is a little bit the story behind.
Well,
But of course,
great.
I'm really glad that I won.
Yes.
That was really nice present.
Good. Well, we're very glad that you won as well. So, who has most inspired you as a composer?
Ooh, that's a difficult question. Maybe I really can say a certain composer. Sometimes I write for piano or for flute and piano or flute. Sometimes I use electronics, not always, but there's a very famous Dutch composer who used electronics. His name is Tom Brunel. Probably you don't know him, but he has written a really nice piece for flute solo and electronics, I think in 1975, maybe a little bit earlier. And this piece is also about nature. So he uses the sound of this little owl in the south of France. He was on vacation and recorded in the woods this little owl. And in his piece, he wrote after the flute and the owl are making a dialogue. So this is in Dutch contemporary music with the use of electronics, quite famous piece, which I recommend all your members to play also.
Okay.
Yeah, it is quite an inspiration for me to use to investigate the path of using electronics, and of course nowadays a lot more is possible. Like 30 or 40 years ago, it was only possible with these tapes, and really big machines and computer-like devices. But nowadays it's very easy to use your laptop and a simple microphone. Sometimes I go into nature and record and see what kind of nice sounds you can use. So of course nowadays it's a lot more easy. But so to answer your question, I don't really have one clear composer that inspired me, but if I had to name one, then it should be Tom Brunel.
All right. So, could you tell us a little bit more about your compositional process with recording? And as you were speaking about going into nature, did any of that come into play with the electronic backing track on this piece?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, as I told you, while composing this piece, I was looking for sounds about water and about fish. So, and it's very cool that you can access for free all kinds of sound banks on the internet. So that's our websites where you can download and listen to all kinds of sounds. So people recorded real sounds out of nature, or they made their own sounds with use of synthesizers, or so millions of sounds you can use. So a lot of times I do this at night, in the middle of the night when my children are at sleep and it's very quiet in the house. I use my headphones and I go on this quest to discover new worlds of sounds. And sometimes I discover really intriguing sounds that I think, okay, this I have to keep. So I have a folder on my laptop in which I keep these really beautiful sounds, and with the most of them I never do something, but sometimes I think, okay, now it can be that I find a sound that can become the reason to write a new piece. So with 50 Fish, this also a little bit happened. So I was planning to write something about fish, and then I came across these beautiful sounds of whales. And then I thought, okay, let's make this, use these beautiful sounds and making this beautiful dance of between the flute and the whales. And actually, when I finished the composition, I when I was already in contact with the publisher, I thought maybe it's nice to also include a video. So I found fantastic videos of whales. You know, of course, under the sea, it's three-dimensional, so they can move up and down and forward and backward. So I found amazing images of those animals, and then the idea came. I have a very small beamer, which is very cheap. Mm-hmm. You can use it from really up close to project these images on the close of. So I had this idea already. I wanted to do something with this idea. So, and now was the time. I thought, okay, this is a nice idea to use with 50 fish. So, yeah, it's as an optional of this piece, you can also use these images to project on the close of the player. So, I think it's really cool.
Yes, I saw your video performing it yourself with images on your shirt, and I thought, man, it really takes you to being in the ocean and being underwater. So a really fantastic addition to the musical part is that visual aspect. So I know you told us a little bit about why you wanted to start composing. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you started as a composer?
Okay, so actually, when people ask me, okay, what do you do for a living? I would never say I'm a composer. Firstly, I would say I'm a flute player. Secondly, I'm a flute teacher, and for me, it's very natural to combine these things. So playing music and reading about it, and writing about it, and writing music myself is very natural to me. So yeah, I quite recently, only a few years back, discovered that for me, the most important thing, I really love playing the flute, so that's really my instrument. But if you philosophize about it, I think I try to be a maker. So making my artwork while playing beautiful composition of others, and then yeah, the bridge to making my own music is for me very small. So yeah, so I would say I'm a playing composer, or a composer that is also playing. Does that make sense?
That does. That's great. Is there any challenges about writing for your own instrument that you have encountered, or is there anything challenging specifically that you found in writing 50 Fish?
Well, actually not. I think while writing, and this is the same thing as a little bit on the topic of improvising. So a lot of people are afraid of improvising because they say, I cannot do it, I don't know, I will make mistakes. But I think the opposite is very true, and also to composing, because while improvising or while composing, you would never come up with an idea that is impossible for you to do. Mm-hmm. So if you improvising, you would never play something that you cannot do. So for me, composing is the very same thing. As I told you, as a compose because I'm a player, and I play because I'm a composer. So yeah, I write the things that come up. So sometimes I have a certain idea or even a fact in 50 Fish. Try to use to copy this really low burls of the whales, and I thought, well, how can I do that? I start to invent a technique. I think I've never heard it before, somebody doing it, but it works. So then the next step is trying to write it down. So I try to find a way how to write it down. So this is a little bit the process, which is very intriguing, very fun doing it.
And is there any other pieces that you've written for the flute that you'd like to share with us?
Yes, I can maybe make a list. You know,
Great.
So I'm very happy that now, since a few months, I got into contact with you and became a member of the consortium. And I think it's a very important job that you do to promote new music for our beautiful instrument, which is very important because, as we said, we have quite a few pieces that are really beautiful of well-known composers, especially in the 20th century, of course. Fantastic pieces, but we should not forget that we have to develop this. So all these beautiful pieces were written back then because a lot of these great composers were trying to invent new things and develop new ways of writing. So this is the thing we should be doing today. So, and this is a little bit what your consortium is about. So I'm really happy to get to know the organization, and well, yeah, I'm happy to share all the other things that that I have been doing and will be doing with you.
Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing some information about yourself and letting us get to know you and your music. And I look forward to certainly trying out your piece and learning how to play it with the electronics. It's very exciting, and we look forward to hearing more of your pieces in the future.
Great. So I'm very easy to reach. So if someone has questions about my music or about the piece, sometimes it can be, okay, well, I don't understand the score, or I have other questions, so contact me. I think you can easily contact me via the consortium or my website. So everybody is welcome.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm sure you'll get some great questions. Thank you again. Bye-bye.